5 years ago could get you a spacious 1,200 square feet condo with $1.8 million. You probably also have some spare cash to do renovation as well as a celebratory dinner. But in 2025, you probably only get a compact 2-bedder for $1.8 million. Your size is actually smaller, and you have to think and consider, as a HDB upgrader, is it really worth it? Is a cramped unit with a higher mortgage worth my time to upgrade from a HDB to a condo? With that consideration, would it be better? Stick around so we'll explore and know whether a private property dream is still doable for 2025 and beyond. So let's go! Let's have a reality check. In 2025, the median household income versus the private property prices, the median private property condo prices versus median income is at 16.9 times of a median annual household income. This is in comparison with HDB. The prices are at 4.3 times versus the median household income in Singapore. It means that the affordability gap has increased tremendously. It's no wonder that upgraders are actually going to feel a pinch when they consider going into the HDB upgrading route. Condo requires almost 4 times the financial muscle in order for you to move into it. To put it into perspective, even the HDB new current property prices have hit new highs in the market. For example, you do have newly MOP HDBs, for example in Clementi, hitting a $1.28 million, and HDBs in Bukit Merah or Queenstown area has reached almost the record high of 1.6 and even 1.7 million. That means that roughly almost double the original BTO buying prices of these owners down here. So for these owners who have pocketed almost 600,000 for their transaction from the original BTO, yet across the street, maybe they are looking at condo prices for 2-bedders to be in the range of about $1.6 to $1.8 million. Back in 2015, million-dollar HDB flats were hitting on average about 1% of the entire market. Looking at 2025 so far, in just a single quarter, we're hitting 417 units of million-dollar HDB flats that are being transacted. Meanwhile, condos in the OCR region used to be about 1,000 PSF. For the new launches that we are seeing right now is hitting above 2,000 PSF. In fact, the price gap between new condos versus resale can hit the range almost 600 to 800,000 in terms of a price gap. So the question is it still worth it? So let's see, what are the private property perks that we can explore? For private property, there are much less restrictions as compared to HDBs. For example, for a condo, there isn't the MOP that is applicable for a condo as compared to an HDB. So for a HDB, if you purchase a HDB and once you collect the keys, the MOP or the minimum occupancy period starts from the day you get your keys. So for example, if you get your keys in 2025, the next time you're able to transact for that property will be 5 years later in 2030. However, for private property, there isn't. The only thing that is governing the transaction in terms of how fast or how long the transaction is going to be is the SSD period. So for the seller's stamp duty, which has recently just changed, the stamp duty will run for 4 years, meaning that after 4 years, you're able to do the transaction. But even then, within that period of time, under 4 years, you're still able to rent out that property. So there is much less restriction in terms of that. There is more flexibility from the perspective of how you're able to use your asset during this period of time. For private property, generally, the historical appreciation for private property is much better as compared to a HDB. For example, in the past 5 years, we are seeing appreciation levels for new condos. For example, for OCR prices, we are seeing prices to rise up almost 25 to 30% during the past 5 years, even with cooling measures that are put in place. And this outpaces many older HDB estates. And we're not talking about the newer HDBs that just MOP. The price increases are much different. So for example, an owner who owns High Park residences in 2015 saw a PSF level at 1,000 PSF. For example, in today's terms, the PSF level for High Park residences is more than 1,500 PSF. That's that gain of almost 50%. Private property values are not affected by ethnic quotas like in HDB. And also, if we're talking about freehold condos, there isn't the perspective of a lease decay. If we see these freehold condo properties that are almost 40 to 50 years old, in comparison with 99-year HDB lease that has already run almost 40 to 50 years, you can see the price differences are quite large down here. In terms of lifestyle and facilities wise, living in a condo will also encompass your lifestyle activities. So you do have your swimming pool, you do have your tennis court if there is, you have your playgrounds, and this would probably be your private sanctuary, if you want to enjoy some leisure activities within your own housing compound. So these are the personal conveniences that are a little bit difficult to quantify in just a dollar value. Next, we're going to explore the trade-offs in terms of moving from a HDB to a private property. First will be the space-wise shrinkage. So if you're coming from a 5-bedroom condo, for example, an older one at 1,200 square feet, the newer condos where you'll probably be able to afford, for example, a equivalent OCR condo that is new will probably be in the range of a 2 million, and the square footage will be maybe about 1,000 square feet. If you're moving further into the city at the RCR ranges, it will probably even shrink further to 600 to 700 square feet. So we're talking about a size downgrade, but this will be in terms of a short term. You need to adjust for your family, space-wise, and have a bigger picture in mind. Next would be the cash outlay and the down payment needed in order to move to a condo. So the basic calculation is this. Private condos require at least a 25% down payment, and this is in accordance to the rules in Singapore, where you need cash and CPF component of 25%, because the maximum loan a person is able to get from your banks would be 75% in comparison to the value of the unit. So for a $2 million condo, the upfront would roughly be in the range of $500,000, and this is not counting stamp duties as well. And mortgage-wise, it will probably triple versus the HDB. A $1.6 million condo with a 75% loan, with a 25-year loan, and an estimated 4% interest rate as an example, would mean that a mortgage rate of about $6,300 per month. So if you do this in comparison with a HDB mortgage, yes, it will be a higher jump, but you do need to take note. Mortgage payments are as per for your household, the combination of both cash and CPF component into paying your mortgage. And yes, this will be very scary for first-time HDB upgraders because the difference in terms of pricing is going to be so large. But why do so many people still go into it? It's important to understand why. But that is the case for something later on. Next would be higher running costs. So when we move from a HDB to a condo, there are additional charges that you need to come up with on a monthly basis. Now, for condos, it will be the maintenance fee. They are collected every quarter. Typical maintenance fee right now will run in the range of $300 to $400 per month. So it's collected at a quarter basis. So it will probably be in the range of about $1,000 to $1,200 a quarter. The higher running costs will also be in terms of your mortgage rates, because mortgage rates are based out of bank rates now. It's not under the HDB. For HDB, it's a fixed rate of 2.6%. But then again, for interest rate levels, it can be used in the combination either with the floating rates or in terms of the fixed rates. In fact, right now, the interest rates for the floating is actually lower than the current HDB rates, which is a good point. Next, in terms of the emotional downside would be maybe it's your matrimonial home. Maybe it's a place whereby your children have grown up in the first couple of years. There are a lot of memories that are tied in with the place that we stay. No, we are human beings. We do love comfort. We don't want things to move and change around us. You would experience in a sense, no, maybe I can wait a little bit longer. Maybe it's not something that I want to do right now. Or my kids love this place. No, is it really good for them to change? But in this case, we need to be able to see the bigger picture. Now, being emotional as a person, it's natural. But being emotional to physical things that we own in our life, maybe we can see it in a different light. Remember that the relationships where we have with people last much longer than the physical things that we have. It's more important that way, and we need to be able to grow and progress on in life. There will be sacrifices installed, but then again, why are you doing that? we need to understand the purpose behind why we look at property or real estate in a particular way. So is it really worth it? Well, the answer depends. It depends on your goal and your aspirations, and also it depends on your current situation in life. Let's run through a couple of scenarios and we can see the differences and how they can probably strategize their way into whether to move or not to move. So first up, the first couple would be this. For example, a young family with moderate income, you have a HDB, a kid or two, combined income of around median 8,000 to 12,000 per month. So upgrading now will probably mean going quite tight in your finances and also a smaller home. Probably little room in terms of emergencies. Remember, for beginner couples or couples that are just starting out, the most important thing when you need to plan for the future when it comes to your real estate journey is in terms of affordability. So you need to be able to save enough for your down payment and eventually move forward with that. So if the combined household income is not sufficient at this point in time, then my advice to you would be to save as much as you can right now. Save as much as you have right now with your BTO and start to build up your finances and your CPF to have enough for your 25% down payment moving forward. Okay? Remember, the important thing is you need to have the minimum of 25% for the down payment as well as to manage your mortgage payments later on. If all these are not ready, then my advice to you would be to keep saving. Scenario B would be the professional couple, would be dual income professionals with solid savings. For example, you're drawing a combined salary of between 15,000 to 20,000 a month or even more with minimal debt, and your HDB has appreciated nicely. You can comfortably put down the 25% down payment for the next private condo. And the important thing also is that you have a safety net fund of between 6 months to a year just in case anything happens to you. And that's important. So if that's the case, and you're able to do all these portions first, then you're well positioned to move forward in your asset accumulation journey. See, maybe most people will be thinking, wow, the prices are so high, but we have to take a strategic step and start to plan the journey way before you even decide. No, typically, people don't just want to buy a home immediately. They do need to consider, and that's where someone is able to come in and guide you along the way. It's important to do your financial calculations. It's important to understand your likes and dislikes. It's important to strategize over a long-term period what the journey is meant to be like. Because when we grow, we have to have the strategy to grow step by step. It's not going to be something whereby we jump from one end to the other end and we overstretch ourselves. That's not wise. So it's important with the strict financial calculations as well as the visibility on where we want to head to over a prolonged view of more than 5 years, 10 years, maybe even 15 years, then that's where we start to plot our journey along the way. And notice I say this without bringing in any perspective of being emotional, because asset progression, it's not something that we need to be emotional about. Drawing from the words of Benjamin Graham, Warren Buffett's investor mentor, this is what he says. He says that Mr. Market will be emotional. It goes up and it goes down. When it comes to investment, have a long-term perspective, because you know you're able to come to a place where you're moving step by step and you're not swayed by what the market is pushing you from and to. When you have a strategic partner to look at your asset progression journey, then in that case, you have a long-term plan and you know what you're going to do. That's very, very important, because decisions cannot be made on a whim or fancy, and it cannot be emotional. It has to be something purpose behind, and the purpose is to grow your assets. The next type of property buyers will be in the sense of the investors. So you're looking purely from the investment perspective of how to grow your investment as quickly as possible using the asset vehicle of real estate. Yes, there are different ways and methods to go into the property market. The main perspective will really be to enter into the market at a safe spot, understand what position you are in, and then after that, with the finances and also the perspective of how to move in, not just the biggest gain, but actually for the safest entry so that your asset grows for you. There are specific strategies on how we will go through this. We'll explore this in other videos, and it's important to realize that if a person is able to understand this quickly, early on, and have the buy-in together with your spouse, then the journey will be progressive and it can move quite quickly. So the bottom line is this: you need to understand what are your finances. You need to understand where your savings are, what your CPF level is, what is your planning for the future movements, so that you are set up for success from the next step onwards. No, HDBs are a wonderful asset that the government has given to you, but it's important to understand that you want your money to work for you as well. It can't be just a single portion and you don't do anything with it. We want to be good stewards of the finances. It's within our hands. And the plan is grow your knowledge, understand what is given to you, and see where are the strategies for you to grow in the various areas. Remember, it's not good to just jump in without understanding, because it's one of the biggest investments a person would have. And you can't go into it blindly. It's important for you to understand. So with the right guidance and the right perspective plus the right strategy, then moving along in your asset progression journey is going to help you gain for the future. Eventually, you will be able to come to a place your future is guaranteed, meaning your retirement plan is guaranteed as well. It starts first with knowing what your game plan is. Then you know where your end game is going to come about. Is the leap to the private property route worth it? My answer would be yes, it is, but it's only for those that are ready. Yes, there are lifestyle changes. Yes, there are certain areas whereby you need to cut back on, but it's the same. In order to grow, there will be areas of feeling uncomfortable. In order to grow, there will be times that we feel uncomfortable because we are not very certain of what's to come. But by growing in knowledge, by understanding, by learning and growing with those that have already plotted the path ahead of you, then that's where the wisdom comes about. It is possible. The same is, it requires discipline in terms of your finances, but also it requires foresight in how you plan. So this is just a glimpse of what we are going to do and understand a little bit more. I'll be sharing more in the next couple of videos for you to find out and to learn together on the various pathways and how we're able to grow your asset. So if you're watching this video and you really like the reviews and also the knowledge that I've been sharing, do like, share and subscribe. I think it's important that we continue to grow together. I have done a couple of reviews of various new launches that you can see down here. Do take a look at them because we do a bit of analysis. What are the future plans installed? So stay together with me, stay tuned as we explore the journey a little bit more. And I believe that with this, we can grow together and you'll be able to reach your real estate dream in the future. And it's going to be step by step. We'll learn this along the way. Thank you so much.